A proposal to provide longer-term solutions to homelessness is moving forward in Harrisonburg. The plan calls for a house on North Main Street to be rezoned as a boarding house. Two nonprofit groups, Our Community Place and the New Community Project, would run programs there to help the homeless. Residents could live there up to a year. The Harrisonburg City Council still has to approve the rezoning. And joining us now to discuss the proposal was Ron Copeland, the director of Our Community Place. Ron, thanks for joining us.
Sure.
Ron, you deal with a lot of homeless individuals at Our Community Place, correct?
Yeah, I know a lot of people who are homeless, yeah.
Okay. Are the needs of the homeless being met, would you say, in Harrisonburg?
Well, I think there's two parts to the question. I think that Harrisonburg does a great job as a city. I don't personally know anyone sleeping outside, and that's a real accomplishment. The development of the Hearts program a few years ago kind of completed, I think, a whole network of churches and civic groups and kind people, and it's a good place. We've done a great job of taking care of people and keeping people from being out in the cold. I think the second part of the question is the needs of the homeless and what exactly that means, because it seems to me to be a fairly complex issue.
All right. And when you say a fairly complex issue, you know a lot of homeless people. What are the issues? People say, geez, we're taking care of them by finding a homeless shelter for them, but is that really solving the problem long term?
Well, I've known a lot of homeless folks over the years by running the soup kitchen at the Little Grill, but the last year and a half at Our Community Place, being there full time and getting to know people well, really almost everybody that I have known well enough for them to really tell me their story. I've heard story after story of just shocking levels of abuse and neglect in their childhood, physical abuse, prolonged rape, locked in closets, all kinds of violence, psychological abuse. So much so, that you start to say, wow, how do you even
cope?
Way to go, you're doing great.
You're still here.
Yeah, and so, when I was actually misquoted in the paper, unfortunately, the other day, saying that I said that homelessness was caused by bad choices, poor choices. I would never use that expression because I think it distances us from the problem, which is that these little kids, when they're abused and neglected, we try to help them, and then they grow up, and they have a hard time coping in regular society, and they need a lot. They need a community of people to come around them and love them and forgive them and respect them. But it's it's a long road. There's complications. This kind of thing often leads to alcoholism, drug addiction, which complicates matters extremely. So. Yeah, that's what I mean by it being complex.
It sounds definitely like it. Now, explain this proposal that Our Community Place, your organization, and the New Community Project, I believe it's called, correct?
Yes, sir.
Would run a boarding house, trying to get a house rezoned as a boarding house. You'd run programs out of it. It's up on North Main. Explain how this would work. This is more of a longer-term view, right?
Yes, sir. We find that just getting someone a home isn't always helpful, because a lot of times they're with us and they might be in a precarious situation, but at least there's a community of support around them, and then they get an apartment and isolate and go back to their addiction and crash. So we're looking toward different kinds of housing options where people can live in a small community where there's common meals, there's some house rules, there's enough of a structure to help the person find sobriety, begin to find healing in their life, a spiritual path that can lead them to new opportunities and new chances, but within the context of a loving and caring community. I think that the whole city has the infrastructure set up to promote this kind of healing. I think that we have to change our paradigm, our view, our worldview almost about the situation, from kind of a punishment criminal model to a sort of what I would call a Christ model, a love and compassion model.
All right. And this proposal that you all have put forward still goes before the City Council. If things get approved, as you would hope, when do you think this might be up and running?
Well, it'll take a bit of work. Hopefully we could begin working by late April, and maybe by summer get things going. My friend Tom Benevento will be running the project, and including a market garden and and all kinds of education.
Okay. Well, Ron Copeland, Director of our Community Place, we look forward to hearing more about this proposal as it moves forward. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, now let's send it over to Kay.